Hey, welcome back to our series. Today we will be making the first part of the consciousness core creation based on a milestone system that will create consciousness cores every x amount of stardust being generated. So I've already done this on yesterday. I've been tinkering a little bit, so we can see here the files I've been doing. So I will redo it with you today fully. So I created a milestone, right? Milestone script, which contained all the milestones and all the logic with it. And also I actually changed the way we use data to create a new type of variables we store for the saving, which is the amount of consciousness cores we have created in this universe and the amount of stardust we have created in this universe. So maybe we can start by expanding this data object, data script, by creating a universe script. So that's going to be data universe, right? This will be named data universe, and that will extend resource. We will have a short description of contains data, contains universe related data to save and load. So from what I'm saying, it could appear that universe could be a prestige layer later on, which could quite frankly be one, but it's not planned yet. So anyway, we want to export a variable which will be Stardust, which is going to be an int initialized at 0, as well as a variable consciousness. Oh, it's quite annoying to type this. Equal 0. And I will document it, and that's going to be very important because it is the amount. Let's go with total amount of stardust created in this universe. And that will be the total amount of consciousness cores created in this universe. So we're not going to use the stardust one yet. We will mostly use the consciousness core at the moment. All right. So I created a new folder which I named Milestones. In there, I had a CC milestones. Actually, yeah, I'm quite in conflict with myself to name it either Stardust milestones or CC milestones, because it's Stardust milestones which create CC. So, meh. So let's go with Stardust milestones, because Stardust milestone. Not all milestones will generate something, so maybe we want to name them based on the resource they check, right? So this is going to be milestone, well, class name, milestone stardust, right? Generates consciousness core every stardust, every X amount of stardust being created. All right. For this milestone to work, we will need a few variables and a few methods. So as for the properties, the most obvious one is that we will need to keep the amount of stardust we need to generate for each consciousness course. So the system I've been using is using a list, a table, which contain each step and the amount of stardust required each step. We can use either a list or we can use a formula. All right. So actually, at first I used the list because it was inconsistent, but at the end I ended up changing the way um, of the list. I mean how the numbers are defined within it. So actually now it answers to a formula. So maybe we actually don't need to have a table. We don't need a table at the moment. But we will actually need to have a goal and have a progress toward that goal, right? So we'll have a Stardust goal, which I will initialize to -1, and a Stardust progress, which is going to be initialized to -1, right? So this is amount of Stardust required to create the next consciousness. And here it is the amount of Stardust generated in the last milestone. Okay, great. So now we want to create a few methods, and the first one will be initialize new milestone. So this one will initialize a new milestone after the previous one is completed. Okay. So the formula will be the following. If the consciousness course created is 0, then the first cost will be 4. Then, from that point, the milestone will be equal to the amount of consciousness core we've generated so far multiplied by 8. Okay, so if I actually want to show you something else. Actually, we haven't connected the universe here, so let's do it right away because we will use it right now. So we will have the universe property in there, which will be typed DataUniverse, which will be a new DataUniverse. If I autocomplete, yes. So this contains universe data to save and load. Right, so when you have where is it? Here. When you have an object you want to reach, like let's say here you want to get the universe from data object, you can create a variable containing the reference or the shortcut, right? So we can do something like have a variable which will be universe of type DataUniverse. Okay, have this as a reference to the universe data. Okay, and then in the init function, the reason why I'm using init here and not onReady, right? Because we could have an onReady tag there. I'm using init, and I'm pretty sure this is what I did in the other one. Yep. It is because the node here will exist, but it will never be added as a child. So it will be a non-manifested node in the game. So it will never be running, sort of. So here, when we, in the constructor, we want to have universe equal to game.ref.data.universe, right? So here I'm just creating a reference, which now allows me to just have universe dot the variable I wish to have, instead of always having to type game.ref.data.universe every single time. All right. So let's go. So if universe.consciousnessCore is equal to 0, then I want Stardust goal to be equal to 4. Else, can you, yes, else I want Stardust goal to be equal to universe.consciousnessCore multiplied by 8. All right? This is how we will initialize the amount of Stardust that we need to generate. All right. From there, every time we reach a new milestone, we want to have Stardust progress to be back to 0. Let's add something to data now. We could do it later, but let's do it now. When we close the game, we do want to keep track on the amount of Stardust we have created on the current milestone, right? So we do need to save our progress in data, right? So maybe we can have this in DataUniverse. Let's have export variable Stardust milestone progress. That's going to be an int equal to 0 by default. There will be progress toward the next consciousness for creation. All right. Now we can go back here, and every time we update the Stardust progress, we actually want to have universe dot Stardust milestone progress to be equal to Stardust progress. All right. Now we can initialize a milestone. Now what we need is to progress the milestone. So the milestone will progress every time Stardust is being created. So we will actually need a function that will which will watch Stardust creation. So on Stardust creation, we want to do something. All right. So we will use the signal which tells Stardust has been created, and this signal contains an argument quantity, which is absolutely what we need right away. Okay. So wait, this parameter quantity. Okay, that's it. So maybe we want to bind this right away. So we will access HandlerStardust .ref .stardust created, and we want to connect on Stardust. Well, let's say Stardust created. It's going to be a little bit clearer. On Stardust created, and remove the parentheses. All right. So every time we generate Stardust, we want to have Stardust progress to increase by the quantity of Stardust being created. All right? And also we do want the universe.stardust milestone progress to be equal to Stardust progress. All right. This is what we do. So now we have progressed the milestone. So we need to be sure, not to be sure, but we need to check whether we have completed the milestone or if we are still progressing toward the goal. So we're going to call a new method, which will be check for completion. All right, let's create this method. So check for completion. That's going to be a void function, taking no argument. All right. And here, we don't want to check the status, right? So the thing is that Stardust can be generated by more than one, because quantity isn't always one, it can be 10, whatever. So eventually we will exceed the Stardust goal. So we want to check that Stardust progress is superior or equal to Stardust goal. Actually, we can make it reversed. If Stardust progress is inferior to Stardust goal, return. Right? There's no progress, and see ya. But if the progress is superior to the goal, then we actually do want to complete the milestone, but one thing different. We do also want to keep track of the excess of Stardust we have to transfer it to the next milestone. So let's have variable Stardust excess, which is going to be by default 0. Yeah. So that's going to be a amount of excess Stardust to transfer to the next milestone. All right. So here, now that we know that Stardust progress is superior or equal to Stardust goal, we want Stardust excess to be equal to Stardust progress minus Stardust goal. Because of the check here, this should always be positive, right? So now we have stored the Stardust excess. So we want to initialize a new milestone, right? But first, before initializing a new milestone, because here we are creating the new milestone based on the amount of consciousness cores which have been created in the universe, we actually do want to create the consciousness core first. So HandlerConsciousnessCore dot create, and we want to create 1. But here we create 1, and here we are actually checking the amount in universe. This checks the amount in regular data. So we do need to update our consciousness core handler so that here in create consciousness core, we do want to create to increase the amount of consciousness cores being created in universe as well as in the storage. So here we want to increase quantity. All right. And I forgot this consciousness core. All right. So let's do exactly the same with Stardust. All right. Since we're doing this, let's do this one too. So Stardust, sorry, forgot. Universe, DataUniverse Stardust plus equal quantity. All right. Let's get back to our Stardust milestone. Here we should now increase by 1 the amount of consciousness core created in the universe so we can initialize a new milestone. Okay? Now that the new milestone is initialized, we do want to transfer the excess. So here, Stardust progress will be set back to 0, and Stardust goal will be set to whatever it must be. So let's have Stardust progress I'm actually having an idea right now. Okay. Maybe we can add an argument here, which will be progress. Let's name it transferred progress as an int, so that here Stardust progress is equal to transferred progress. But we do not necessarily have something to transfer. So just in case, we can give it a default value of 0, right? So if for any reason we need to initialize a new milestone and we have no transferred progress to give, then it will start at 0. Right, so here we want Stardust excess to be in there. Okay, and once it is initialized, we do want to get rid of excess. Actually, we can remove it from here, right? And just have it local there. The variable Stardust X, well, just initialize it there. Variable Stardust excess as an int, it's going to be equal to this. And when the function is done running, it's discarded. All right, cool. So now that we have created a new milestone and we have transferred the excess, we actually need to take care of one very specific situation, which is what if the amount of Stardust we have transferred is actually superior to the amount of Stardust required for the next milestone. So we actually want to run this again. We want to run check for completion after we're done initializing a new milestone. Because maybe we will have Stardust progress still superior to goal, and we need to go through the loop once more. All right? So this checks for milestone completion. And here, triggered when Stardust is created, progresses the milestone. All right. All right. So let me just check the load here. So we had Stardust goal. Yes, because I actually had something different here. Yep. So now we just have to think about the situation when the player loads the game, right? So we need to get a milestone, but also we don't want to initialize the progress to 0. We do want to initialize the progress to the progress which is saved, right? So here, when we create this node and initialize for the first time, we want to initialize a new milestone, and the transferred progress will be universe dot Stardust milestone progress. Okay? So this should actually be it for this one. Let's just check if I forgot anything. Start new milestone, check for completion, access 0, blah 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 blah. No, it sounds good. Looks good. Alright, let's go back to Godot. Now we have created this milestone object which will be running on the background. So we need to initialize it somewhere. And I think the best place at the moment is in the HandlerConsciousnessCore. So here, I actually want to create a new variable. I think it is on ready. Did I put it on ready? Yep. Yep. So here, let's go with onReady variable, and that will be Stardust. Wait, that's weird. Well, officially we should be creating maybe a milestone manager, but we won't do this at the moment. Let's just have this one in there for now, and we will maybe later when we have more milestones create a dedicated manager for them, because creating a manager for just one node seems a little bit overkill. So Stardust milestone will be milestone Stardust equal to milestone Stardust dot new, and that will be instance of node managing Stardust milestones creating consciousness core. Let's check that we do not load. All right. And maybe we can run the game. Right. Let's actually give ourselves only one consciousness core. So if I start generating Stardust, right, at the moment we reach 4, we get one new consciousness core. And then 12, which is 8 plus 4. And then it's going to be 8, 16. At 20, we should have a third one. No? Oh, wait, I'm actually calculating wrong. Because it's 8 plus 16 plus 4. So now it's going to be 24 plus... I'm already lost. So anyway, we have consciousness core being generated, each milestone, so we can consume those to increase the amount of Stardust we generate. Alright. And there we go. Now, if we actually have the max level in there, it actually takes quite some time to generate consciousness cores now. So maybe I will actually just drop the cost of nebulas, because waiting for 5 is definitely too long. So maybe 2 or 3, most likely 2, will be what I will go for at the moment. So we can go in our upgrades, CC upgrades, that is nebulas, and I want to change the base cost to, it will be 2. Oh. There we go. All right. So now the very first loop of the game, if we can call this a loop, will be to generate the first consciousness cores. At the moment, it's a little bit cryptic because we don't see the progress of the milestones, which we will do later. All right. And then at any point when we have 2 consciousness cores, we can unlock nebulas. All right. All right. So anyway, stretching. This is it for this episode. Now we do have a way to generate consciousness cores infinitely, because every level will always ask 8 more, right? So anyway, later on we will create a view to actually keep track of the progress toward consciousness core productions, etc., etc. And also we will make an unlock system for the upgrades. Okay, that's it for this episode. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.